I don't keep up on those things.
All right.
Isn't
Take
he a
two.
football person?
Reality redemption.
We're back. Hi, how's it going, Snow?
It's going.
All right, so let's pick this one up where we left the last one off. Doing these back to back because we didn't want to be like the Ritalin podcast where we're fucking ADHD and all over the road like we usually do.
That's how we survive.
Yeah, because we have all these thoughts in our heads and we just need to get them out.
They're not going to come out in order, folks.
Yeah, because if we don't release this shit on the podcast and we just sit up all
come
night
out at
long
random.
and think about all the bullshit.
Before we forget, we have a guest.
Yes, we got Kat.
Our friend Kat.
Kat, how you doing?
Hello.
She brought notes.
Brought notes, more prepared than we usually are.
She is not suffering from ADHD or anything like us.
I know. Here I am. I'm like looking up Hershel Walker here. I got the football game on over here. You know, so
or if she is much more well managed than we are with her.
Okay. So, the rule of thumb: get out and vote in the midterms. Okay. Fuck the shit going on at the gas pump because OPEC, not Biden, cut production
OPEC
by 2
sucks.
million.
Right.
Yeah, 2 million gallons a day. 2 million barrels a day.
And who do you think's all buddies with
barrels.
OPEC? The Republicans. So the Republican, they were probably like, we got to do something for our friends, you know, who we give all this money to because they're getting their asses kicked because they're trying to take rights away from women. So we need something to punch back with.
If I was
a game.
If I was a conspiracy theorist,
that was my conspiracy.
I would say that they're doing this on purpose so Democrats do not take the
We
Senate
have to
and
have
House.
fun with the conspiracies every once in a while.
Yeah.
They're fun. Conspiracies are fun. You just can't like wholeheartedly put your trust in them or else you might as well just follow QAnon.
Yeah, 9/11 wasn't an inside job. We did land on the moon.
Sandy Hook sadly did happen. They were not crisis actors.
Yes, and
Jeez.
all this shit, you know, fucking all this fucking bullshit that you're going to hear over the next few weeks in order. The real agenda is to take away our rights. They're going to take away our rights to vote. They're going to take away women's productive rights.
They're taking away our freedoms.
Happen.
We need to start saying it like that, just like the other side tries to do. This is an issue of freedom. Like, they're trying to take away our freedoms.
Yeah.
Especially as women. And you know what? It's not only women. It's men, too. Think about all the men that are in relationships with women. They're getting shit taken away from them, too. What if they do have a whoopsie doodle or whatnot, whatever the circumstance is, and they're not ready to have children either? Like, you're taking away rights from men, too. Yeah.
Okay, and Kat,
affect everyone.
We had you on a few weeks ago. I know this is a cause that's really important to you, and you started the group on Facebook. Can you get into that?
So I started a reproductive advocacy group called Kingman Area Reproductive Freedom Alliance.
That's a great name.
And CARFA for short, I guess. I thought that was kind of
always important to have an
acronym,
acronym, right?
But my goal was to get all the local pro-choice people together and try to unify everyone so that we can have a stronger voice against all the shit that's going on. And because I saw that there's like lots of different sporadic groups around here, and so I thought it would be good to get them more organized. So that's my goal.
Okay. And you had your first meeting the other day?
A couple weeks ago. We had a really good turnout. We had a lot of good involvement. About 10 people. I feel like that's pretty decent for a first one.
Yeah, for
the people that did show up, sounded like they were pretty committed to wanting to help and had people volunteer for different things. So it's like, I think it's coming together. I feel like it's important to have like different people helping, and it's not just like a me thing. It's like I want to delegate to other people and have them all contribute and us be like one group together, like one voice.
Yeah, like word of mouth, and then they're going to tell some folks and then bring more folks in, and then, and then everyone can have like a different part to do to collectively, are you planning marches and stuff, or
we do
peaceful protesting
we have
and
some
whatnot?
Rallies that we have coming up. The first one we're doing is actually this Saturday, because that date coincides with the Women's March. That's a national march that's happening. And
okay.
So that's going to be our first one. And then...
And where's that one going to be?
We're going to have it around Locomotive Park.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Downtown.
But I do pay attention that, that Locomotive Park was rented out this weekend.
Yeah,
so you have to do it
nearby, but not like right at the park. Probably like a little ways down like Andy Devine. It's kind of going to be tentative on. Side. Yeah, it's
who rented it out?
I think it's the Oktoberfest people.
Oh, it is. Yes, it's Oktoberfest. That's right.
No, but this is a good thing, though, because Oktoberfest in Kingman, that does draw a lot of people.
That was my thought process with having that location, because I wanted the visibility of all the local traffic going to there. But I also want to like tread lightly and not interfere with their event. I don't want to make it look like we're protesting.
You don't want to be like
like protesting Oktoberfest.
These liberals hate Germans and beer.
I'm like, no, I love beer actually. So like it's gonna be sort of tentative on exactly where, because I'm not sure if they have Locomotive Park rented out. With the objective of setting up stuff there, or if they just have it rented out to make sure that the area doesn't have competing stuff going on. So
it's a space issue.
Yeah,
because
they usually rent out the whole
Oktoberfest.
thing.
You have the train there, obviously.
Yeah,
and the tents and the vendors and the beer tent especially take up a lot of space in that area, and the space is huge to begin with. So
I know. I don't understand why they don't do Oktoberfest at Metcalf Park. You would think that would be a better setup.
That's where it's at. Around. They have it there, but they also have Locomotive Park rented out.
Okay,
and that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if they also are intending on setting up some of their event at that park as well, or if they just have it rented so that there's not like conflict with some other event trying to happen at the same time. So either way, we're gonna definitely have to stay on the sidewalk, probably on the powerhouse side. And if they are having their actual event at Locomotive Park, we're gonna go ahead and move a little further down Andy Devine. I'm thinking like on the corner of 4th and Andy Devine by the lizard statue. Because that's public property.
Right.
So we could gather there and we'll still get a lot of visibility, but we're kind of going to play it by ear, I guess.
Isn't the Route 66 Festival this weekend also?
That's next weekend.
That's next weekend, okay.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town that weekend, or else I would have probably tried to have one of these around that time too.
And how many of these are you planning on having between now and midterms?
We're going to have 4.
4?
Oh, wow.
4 in the next 3.5 weeks, basically.
Is it that 3.5 weeks? I thought it was more like a month and a half.
Election day is usually the first Tuesday of November.
It's the 8th of November.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll just tell you
on
the dates.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's like a month and a half.
It's possible to do it.
No, it's about exactly a month almost.
So but they're doing one this weekend.
So 5 weeks.
Not next weekend. The weekend after would be the 20.
Here, doing it the 16th, which is next weekend too, but it's not the Saturday that the thing's happening. It's the Sunday.
It would be Sunday.
So
Okay.
we're doing the Sunday, we're going to do another one at Locomotive Park from
Okay.
1 to 5. The one we're doing this Saturday is going to be 10 to 2. And then the Sunday the 16th is 1 to 5. And then the last two I want to do on Stockton Hill Road, on the corner of Airway and Stockton Hill by the Cracker Barrel, because I feel like that will have a lot of visibility since all of Kingman drives through there.
Yeah, that's where they did the Red for Ed, was on Stockton Hill, and there's a ton of people who drive Stockton Hill. Stockton Hill's always busy.
Yeah, so that's what I decided I want to do for the last two. So the third one is going to be Sunday, October 23rd from 10 to 2. And then the last one I wanted to do right before the election. And we're going to do that one November 5th, which is a Saturday, from 1 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
At the same location by the Cracker Barrel.
That's a good plan.
Okay, so we do have 5 weekends in between here and November 8th.
Right.
Every weekend except for the weekend of Halloween, because I figured I probably might be doing fun things then.
Yeah.
That's a good plan.
So I just didn't want to do...
That's a good
I wanted
plan.
to leave that one
I
open
love
for
Halloween.
activities.
Yeah. Halloween's my
other
favorite
activities
holiday.
to decompress from all this stressful other stuff.
Right.
We need a good old-fashioned day of dressing up so that we don't have to deal with all the
Yes,
craziness.
I think adults need it more than children.
All right.
Some time to decompress from reality.
Yeah,
Totally.
I try to get away from it, and if you listen to this podcast, you wouldn't believe it, but yeah, we try to get away from politics at times. And it just keeps on
So hard.
keeps on
It
coming back at
infiltrates
us.
every aspect of life. That's
It
why
really,
it's like
really does.
I absolutely hate politics, but I understand how it's important, and I need to pay attention.
Exactly.
It's
And I have this argument with
those-
my kids all
It's
the
a
time.
paradox, I guess.
especially my oldest. He's like, I hate all politicians. I am not going to vote. But I'm like, no, you cannot be like that. You have to. I don't tell them what they should believe in and what they shouldn't believe in. I'll just say they're more progressive than I am, for the most part. But if you don't exercise your right to vote, someone else is going to take away things that
We're literally living through that right now.
Like, if you support the LGBTQ plus community, you have to get out and vote for people that support that community. If you want to support women's rights to choose, you have to vote for the people that are going to support that community.
And here's the thing, too. Like, speaking with on the LGBTQ community, they're already testing the waters right now with this abortion thing, and Clarence Thomas has already made it perfectly clear that they want to start going after other bills that were passed, like gay marriage. They're going to try to go after that one. It's
they overturned Roe versus Wade on the grounds that it was not traditionally in the Constitution, and since they were somehow able to use that excuse to do that, then that opens the door to.
He already said that they want to go.
That
he wants to go back and look. Yeah, he wants to go back and look at Obergefellner. He wants to go back and look at all these other court cases. And I almost wanted to say to him, does that mean you want to go back and look at Loving too? Because you are in an interracial marriage, sir.
Yeah, they don't.
You want to avoid your own marriage?
Hypocrisy that they just don't care.
No, they don't.
They just cherry pick whatever benefits them, and
And they're like,
we're going to get into that in a minute.
Well, it's like, I don't care what their religious views are, but they don't need to make them the law of the land. Yeah. You want to believe in believe in whatever religion you want. I don't believe that what they actually think they follow is Christianity, because there's no way that Jesus would behave like this.
They
have some perverse, they have some perverse thing about what Christianity is about, and it's nothing what real Christianity is. It's like, most of the time I want to tell these people, you don't even read your own good book.
And we're going to get into Hershel Walker in a few minutes here.
Right.
But Hershel Walker is running against a Christian reverend.
Right.
In Georgia.
Who is the reverend at Martin Luther King's church? Martin Luther King Jr.'s church. Raphael Warnock is the reverend at it. Yeah. The church that Martin Luther King used to be the reverend at.
Why we got what's coming up this week? On Friday, Pearl Jam is going to release a song on an album that's going to be only released one day. And it's going to be for good music to ensure safe abortion access to all. You can find this at Bandcamp. Just look up at Bandcamp. There's a lot of artists on this, and I know Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam are also big supporters of this cause. So go to Bandcamp, good music there, and download that. So I guess we should start to get into, we start talking about Hershel Walker and the Georgia race and the hypocrisy of the one side. It came out, I think, a couple days ago that someone would claim that Hershel Walker paid for a woman to have an abortion, and Hershel Walker denied knowing this person at all.
And the woman turned out to be the mother of one of his children.
Yes. So I listened to the talking points of Republicans, and I hate to turn on cable news, but I was doing it last night, and I was like, okay. I was like, what's their argument? What's their argument? And it was just like, if you're against abortion, how can you support this guy? Well, it turns out, it's a liberal media attacking him, and all that other bullshit. But it says, but we don't care what he did 11 years ago, 12 years ago, however long it was, because he supports our agenda now. Mm-hmm. Which pretty much just means, we don't want to lose the Senate.
They just want to win.
Yeah. They have no real convictions. It's just whatever panders
wins
to them.
Yeah. No matter what this guy did, And, no offense against Hershel Walker, good football player, back in his day and whatever. The guy's not a bright guy.
He's even said it. That's come out of his own mouth. That he's not that smart.
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy that said, that the reason why we have air pollution here is because all China's dirty air comes over here and pushes our good air towards Europe. He's came out and said this.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And why? Georgia's really bad at this because of Marjorie Taylor Greene and stuff like that. They hire or they elect people who just aren't that bright.
Well,
there's probably someone behind them just pulling the strings, and they just need someone to be a puppet.
And MTG got elected because she basically lives in the Kingman of Georgia. So it's going to go... to be fair, ours is Gosar.
Well,
someone who his family says, do not vote for our brother. Numerous elections. They're on commercials all over,
Well, yeah, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, the sanctity of marriage, it turns out, her husband filed for a divorce. She's
going through the big D and don't mean
because, and I don't want to get called out as fake news because, we're just repeating.
Did you hear the recent thing, though, so they were trying to keep it hush-hush. Now her husband wants it to be publicized. He wants it to be public.
Wasn't it something like she was cheating on him or something like that?
I don't know, but they were trying to keep it under wraps, but he's like, no, I want it to be public. And their theory is maybe he's trying to do it to like get more money or something. But I'm like, I don't care. Let it out.
I know Kat's looking at me like I thought you were going to stay on topic, but this sort of is on topic.
I mean, it's
you're electing
kind of
idiots.
You know?
I know. Well, yeah, it is on topic because these idiots. How do they keep getting in?
There's nothing that we really do about in this state. I don't know. I feel like I've been trying to focus more on what's doable for the state that we're in because I'm like, well, that sounds like their problem, unfortunately.
Right.
It's like,
now,
I don't know.
Now, on that,
other states.
I remember a few weeks ago when you were starting to organize these protests, our friend Jim commented on the Facebook page that she doesn't think that you should be doing these protests.
Why?
It was something like you should focus your energy into areas or communities like down in Maricopa County that could actually make a difference.
She does have a lot of good ideas too, and she's like I feel like we could do both.
Right.
So
that's how I feel. I'm like
actually giving me a lot of good input too, but it's like I feel like there's multiple ways of
Maricopa County will be handling
with people.
I think it's great that you're doing this because Maricopa County will be handling their own marches and whatnot. We still need them for people up here who possibly grow up in ultra-conservative families because we are in rural America, and for some people to know that there are people out there, the younger folks, to be like, they don't necessarily feel the way that their parents feel.
I actually had someone reach out to me when they saw about the rallies and ask how they go about registering to vote. So it's like
very good.
That's kind of literally my goal is to encourage people to vote, and
that right there
that would have otherwise not cared to. You know,
that right there is literally the definition of progress. So you've already done so much just by doing that. So it is great that you started this in your own community. That's my beliefs. Anytime, what was it? Remember when we were at the March for Our Lives, and we heard that somebody literally had never voted before in their life, and MJ and I had co-written an article for the newspaper due to gun violence and the whole gun issue. And the woman said something like her husband finally registered to vote, and I started crying. I was like, this is, if even one person, it makes a difference. Because if that happens here, imagine where it's happening everywhere else where things aren't so strict.
Yeah, just informing people, and if it's an issue that they're concerned enough about, then they'll go out their comfort
and they needed
zone
someone like you to you started it. They needed someone like you to feel okay to ask the questions like that, to say, how can I do this? I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And they needed information, and then you were there. That's great.
You can't assume everyone knows how politics works or how any,
or even how or where to register to vote.
Yeah,
not everybody knows that.
Yeah, just getting the information out there too.
And what was the statistic? I'm not sure. It's something high. It's like 70 to 80% of all Americans support the women's right to choose.
Yeah, depending on what poll you look at, but it ranges.
Yeah, I think it's in the 80% range.
It's a definite majority.
80% is high.
When you're going on national polls,
national polls, yeah,
it's pretty. It's
Hi,
pretty
Colin. Welcome
good.
to the podcast.
Yeah, hello, Colin.
Photo bomb.
I actually might want to talk sometime.
The equivalent of a photo bomb.
Yeah.
But that
We enjoy all inputs, so you are
actually
welcome.
one idea that Jim has had that she reached out to me about that I want to look into doing as like a long-term goal, because it probably won't happen right away, but so we know that there are pro-choice Republicans that exist, like,
Yes.
being that there's that high of a percentage of overall.
There's
And
actually a lot
I feel
of them.
like they just are not very vocal about their stance, or they don't.
Well, because
I
they
think
want to get elected.
other things overshadow that for them. Like, but if we were thinking if we were to call the people that are registered Republican and have them do just a simple poll survey of like, are you or are you not pro-choice, yes or no, and then basically like make demographics of who's pro-choice, and then proposition those people in the future to question their constituents of their stance on abortion, because if the politicians get resistance or feedback from their own Republican voting base, then it would encourage them to. It would pressure them to have to maybe like actually answer the questions and take their stance. I think it's called like bird dogging or something. There's like a term for it, but I like that idea because they are only going to listen to their own voter base and be affected by that. They're not going to listen to people that have already committed to not voting for them, and their
Yeah, that's a good strategy.
like their
I understand what
opposition
you're
or
saying,
whatever.
right? Because they don't really care what folks like we think, but if their own folks, because some of them have changed their political ads, even they've gone and wiped out some of the extreme Republicans who are running, who were all for banning abortions and whatnot. They've completely taken that off their website pages because they realized how much of an issue this is and how much it's pissing women off.
Kind of makes you wonder, though, if they do get elected if they're going to flip-flop again.
See, that's what I think. I'm like, you can't believe them because they're going to go right back to the archaic laws. Like we were speaking of the law, the 1864 law, that they reinstated, the governor reinstated in Arizona just recently, about the whole abortion thing.
Yeah.
The extreme Arizona law.
Can you
and
believe
it's like they're going to go back to that right after they get elected.
A woman judge that lifted that ban. Like it was actually a female judge out of Pima
I
County.
did not know. Isn't
Isn't that
crazy.
disheartening?
And in Pima County?
Yeah.
That's like the liberal part of our state. Like
Is it?
Pima's Tucson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sickening.
She must have been like a Trump appointed judge then, huh?
I think
maybe
so.
she
Her
was one of
name's
the
Judge Kelly Johnson.
Maybe she
Pima
was
County.
one of the new, like, because remember how before he left office, he appointed a ton of judges all over the place.
Well, that goes back to something that when you speak of elections have consequences. Mm-hmm. The big thing that we had said back in 2016, long before this podcast, was our Bernie or bust supporters. And we're like, no, you kind of have to hold your nose and vote for Hillary.
Bernie did it, and he was running against Hillary.
Which happened. But back then,
I listened to Bernie.
The thing that you and I talked about many times was if Trump gets elected, and he can appoint Supreme Court justices, they will overturn Roe v.
It's
Wade.
not
He
only
even
the
said that
Supreme
in
Court
his
ones,
things.
though. It's
Like-
also all the judges that he appointed, like the district judges, all of them, all the way down the line. He got to replace a ton of judges.
Yeah.
And
Not just the Supreme
he
Court.
even promised that in his thing when he was running for election. That's why I really don't understand how there's people that are Trumpers and pro-choice. But
Yeah.
he literally said he was going to do that, and yet he's still...
Yeah, and then women that voted for Trump, who are now outraged that this happened, you voted for that.
I know, it's like
they didn't want to believe that.
Were they
part
not
or
paying
something.
attention when he literally put a handmaid on the Supreme Court? I mean, you don't think that wasn't for a purpose? Like, to show, this is what we're coming for. Like, we're going and doing this issue. We're coming for it. We're coming for female rights. You know how don't they always say they're coming for your guns? I'm sorry, do you guys still have all your guns? Yeah, you do. But now you've taken away women's rights.
Republicans use to overshadow anything else they do. That's their one...
I know, and these dummies will believe it. These dummies believe it. I'm like...
It's like, I'm not anti-gun at all, but...
either.
I feel like right now, reproductive rights are a lot more on the line than gun rights.
Yeah.
So,
than your toys. Yeah.
it's
like these are our bodies versus your toys.
Philosophically, I identify as like an independent, so kind of in the middle,
I'm
more left-leaning, but not all the way left.
I'm technically independent too.
Yeah, like I'm not anti-gun, but I know that they use that as a thing to pander. It's like and then that's what I think gets people to vote against their own interests, like women voting against their own reproductive rights because they're scared of the gun issue. But it's like
they're never going to take away guns.
Yeah, right now
there would be an all-out bloodbath if they ever tried to do that. They're never going to do that. I don't know why these people keep falling for that dumb-ass rhetoric and they think it's going to happen. It's like, it didn't happen when Clinton was elected. It didn't happen when Obama was elected. It didn't happen. It hasn't happened since Biden's been in office. They are not going to take... And however far back it went before Clinton, it is not going to happen.
Okay. So let's get into a few. I'm going to rattle off some names because, believe it or not, outside of Kingman, some people do listen to the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm on a pro-choice website, and these are some of the people running for Senate that support pro-choice. So if this is in your area, vote for these people. Here in Arizona, we've got Mark Kelly for Senate.
Yay!
Okay.
Love Mark Kelly.
Okay. Which is going against Blake Masters, who says abortion rights are demonic and a religious sacrifice.
Psychopath.
And this was paid for by the Arizona Democratic Committee.
Oh, okay.
This handout that I got in the mail yesterday. Senator Alex Padilla of California. He's in California. Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. Raphael Warnock in Georgia. Tammy Duckworth in Illinois. Charles Booker of Kentucky. Chris Van Hollen of Maryland. Sherry Beasley of North Carolina. Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire. Oh, the winner that she's going up against up there. Catherine Cortez Master of Nevada. Chuck Schumer in New York. Tim Ryan in Ohio. Ron Wyden in Oregon. John Fetterman in Pennsylvania. Peter Welch in Vermont, my home state. Patty Murray in Washington. And Modella Barnes in Wisconsin. So if that is in your area, vote for these candidates. While we're in Arizona, some of the House of Representatives that are running. My buddy Jevin Hodge Tom O'Halloran, Ruben Gallego, Greg Stanton, Kristen Engel, all running for the House of Representatives in Arizona. Kat, do you have any other ones on your list?
As far as representatives, I don't know, but I know the governor that's being endorsed for pro-choice is Katie Hobbs.
Katie Hobbs, yes.
The Attorney General is Chris Mays. So it's like Katie Hobbs had put out a statement that she would not sign any anti-choice legislation that is presented to her. So I think that she's an important one to go with, because the other...
And she's running against Carrie Lake.
That one...
Who's a psycho. She's a total Trump humper. Yeah.
Yeah.
An election denier. Yeah. She used to be a newscaster, too. She used to be on the news. I can't remember which channel she worked for, but...
Yeah, she was one of the... Mm-hmm. She was like the morning girl, the evening girl.
Unfortunately, we don't have any pro-choice people running in our, legislators running in our district, which that really sucks.
Well, because in our district, you're not going to win. It is what it is.
The QAnon representatives.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Paul Gosar.
Paul Gosar is our
we could still vote for the governor and the attorney general.
Hey, let's get back to Jevin Hodge. I had met him a few years ago when the Democrats had their picnic up in the Wallapies. And Jevin Hodge gave him a big endorsement. I wish I knew his district. But Jevin Hodge, to hear him speak, it was like listening to a young Obama. He's probably mid-30s now.
What state is he from?
He's in Arizona.
Oh, Arizona?
Yeah. He lives down in the Phoenix area.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, yes, get out, vote for Jevin Hodge. Nancy Pelosi, okay, she's running for re-election.
I know she's a controversial character, but
she's gonna win hands down. She's in San Francisco, so there's no way the Republican will beat her.
Yeah, let's see who else.
No way.
Who else do we have on this list? Debbie Wasserman Schultz of Florida.
Is she running for re-election or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. She used to be the head of the DNC. Remember?
Correct.
Under when Hillary Clinton was running. Yeah. Okay. I was like, I knew that name sounded familiar.
How do you pronounce that? Ilhan Omar?
Ilhan
Omar.
Yeah, I like her.
Okay.
She's running for re-election. She's in Minnesota, right?
Yep. Minnesota.
Okay.
Okay, Robert Zimmerman in New York.
It's Ilhan Omar. Ilhan.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. I wanted to correct that.
Okay. Pat Ryan in New York.
Are there any pro-choice Republicans running anywhere? That's something...
I do not know.
If there are, it's a short list.
I know that there are not in our state.
If they are, it's got to be a very, very short list. Because they're not going to do it because did you ever get the chance to watch that movie, that documentary, Jesus Camp?
No.
MJ?
No.
If you can find that, you gotta watch it. I remember when I watched it, I was like, now I understand how Ted Cruz ever got elected in the first place. They literally, these kids, they program children from when they're younger, and they tell you throughout the documentary that the reason that they want to do this is to get into politics, to push their views on the masses, basically.
Yeah.
They feel like everything's being ruined because the absence of religion or whatnot. And it's just,
during
I'm watching
during
the whole
Trump's
thing.
term, there was literally a thing called Project Blitz that is in regards to that.
And it makes sense.
They had a game plan to try to implement more religion in.
Oh yeah, they talk about how they
more-
try to get specific people elected to
More,
further along their agenda. And it's just like, when I was watching it, I'm literally cringing. I'm like, I feel like I'm watching child abuse, live child abuse, what they're doing to these kids, programming them and whatnot. And this movie was made long before Trump got elected. It might have been made under like the baby Bush days. I can't remember exactly when the documentary came out.
Like a cultural element that's been kind of like insidious in the country, you know.
It's very
Just
cringeworthy,
like
but you're
during
like,
the last handful of years, it's really come to light.
yeah, and that's what, like, every time I think about the evangelicals and how they're trying to push more and more of their views into our political process, and it's so disgusting because you're like, this is not what the founding fathers talked about. They talked about separation of church and state.
And
you were fine to believe whatever you want.
It's not even like all Christian, like there are Christians that actually do follow their religion, and they're not for all that, you know, that authoritarianism stuff. But I think that these people, they're the real basis of why they're doing it is just for control, and they're using religion as
control,
like a catalyst
to control people.
Yeah, they're hiding behind that as their, you know, means of doing it. I don't think they actually are really even like people that follow Christianity. I think they just use it because it's, for one, religion is an easy thing to use because we've been told like it's, you know, blasphemous to criticize it. So you already have this, like, it's on a pedestal above criticism. So it's an easy scapegoat to use to hide behind to get other shit done. Just to use that as the vehicle in order to get to control and push your agenda.
These people, though, like, the more that I have to listen to their religious agenda and all their BS and trying to promote it and whatnot, I'm like, you guys are not Christians. I'm like, do I need to keep reminding you all of the Sermon on the Mount? The Sermon on the Mount literally says that you will be rewarded when you pray in silence, that you should not make a spectacle of it. So that goes against all the preaching. I'm like, you're not supposed to do that, not according to the Bible.
Yeah.
You are not supposed to do that to get credit for what you're doing. And this is literally what these people are doing. They think that they're going to somehow get into heaven quicker than anyone else. I mean, or have a higher spot in there. But it's like, you will only be rewarded when you pray, but you should do it in silence. You should not do it for any sort of attention.
I'm not religious at all, but I appreciate the people that are real Christians that follow that, you know.
The real teachings of Jesus.
Judge.
I understand people having faith and someone with them through the day. I get that totally.
So do I.
It's not for me, but who am I to question someone else's beliefs?
I'm glad for the ones that actually, you know, spread love instead of hate with their religion. But so many people use it as a means to spread hate, and that's frustrating that the other ones get grouped in with the shitty ones.
So
there's a lot of good religious people.
Yeah.
So I spent the last few minutes, you know, doing something that we usually don't do on this podcast, research, and I could not find one Republican who actually has come out as pro-choice.
What?
Now I'm seeing a lot of them. They're trying to soften their stance on it,
Or they're just trying to be a little quieter
on the issue, and they backed
But
up.
they will
on
go
their
right back to,
stances.
if they win their seats, they will go right back to the extreme abortion agenda. That is what I believe. I
Okay.
don't believe they're going to back off for good. They're going to back off until they're elected,
Now,
until they get what they
But
want.
they could always get,
And then they're going to go full
unelected
force.
though too if they. I don't know.
Snow, you sent me this the other
After
day.
several
After
years, though.
years, yeah.
Yeah.
You sent me this the other day, and this sums it up pretty much
Mm-hmm.
on it. We pull up the audio here, and I have to
Brace yourselves, everyone, for this.
I don't know if you've heard this one yet. Just wait for it. Let's see here.
This is disgusting.
Does this change anything? I mean, do you want my opinion? You're listening. Not a damn thing. How many times have I said 4 very important words? These 4 words. Winning is a virtue. What I'm about to say is in no means a contradiction or a compromise of a principle. And please keep in mind that I am concerned about one thing and one thing only at this point. So I don't care if Hershel Walker paid to abort endangered baby eagles. I want control of the Senate. If the Daily Beast story is true, you're telling me Walker used his money to reportedly pay some skank for an abortion, and Warnock wants to use all of our monies to pay a whole bunch of skanks for abortions.
Wow.
And yes, when they're used predominantly over 99% of birth control and it's my taxpayer dollars, you have invited me up in your business, and
Where
I will
does
use
she get those
whatever descript I
statistics?
would like to.
Wow.
Thank you.
Out of her ass.
Out of her ass.
Pretty
exactly.
much pulls them right out of her ass.
It's like, yeah.
She's a disgusting,
that's
vile human.
another thing that's really frustrating is there's so much misinformation around abortion that it makes it really difficult because the forced birthers have basically successfully brainwashed a bunch of people over the past few decades on it, like to the point that there's politicians that literally say that, you know, that as a baby's born that the people like kill it or doctors kill it right when it's born, and just complete lies and absurdities,
Right.
and there's
You know
people
who-
that believe it.
You know who
And
that
it's
twat is?
Kind of terrifying.
And I will call her a twat since
Oh,
she
I'm
likes
not
to
even.
refer to women as skanks because,
Wait, did we actually name her?
what is,
That's
who is
Dana Loesch.
do you know who she
I don't
is?
know.
Is that how you
who
spell
that
it?
is. Do you-
She was a former NRA
She
spokeswoman.
looks, yeah, she
Oh,
looks
wow.
Radio
familiar because remember when she came out on her podium to defend the glorious NRA? That's her.
Ugh,
I remember her.
I'm a gross person.
I remember her gross, disgusting face before. But here's the thing, too. This is the statement I want to say after watching that. Why are people still fucking Republicans? They clearly don't even know how sex works. I mean, my God. They don't. The thing that's the grossest about what she said is referring to these women as skanks. Who the fuck do you think got them pregnant? They didn't get pregnant on their own.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have to keep reiterating this.
Yeah.
But why would anyone want to even fuck Republicans at this point if they don't even know how sex works? They don't understand how pregnancy works. Like, does she believe that, like, storks bring babies or, like, they're miracles from
Immaculate
God?
Conception.
I'm like, I want to ask her so many questions.
Problem. That's how you know that it's just about controlling women, because men are never brought into the equation of
I know.
taking any
There are
accountability
so many
for
questions I have for people like
unwanted
this. I'm
pregnancies.
like, how do you
I
think
would wanna
babies
run-
get here?
If I was going to run for like
Oh, my God.
the representatives, and this did pass, and these abortion laws go through and stuff like that, I would run on Okay, well then child support must be paid as soon as
At conception.
At conception, yeah.
Because that's when life begins.
Right.
And there's so many other things I could say. I could say, then you guys should start supporting the transgender community, because guess what? Everyone starts out as a girl at conception, and then some people turn into boys when they're born. By the time they're born, and some people stay girls. So you should start fucking supporting people. God,
science is a bitch.
Ugh, I know. No wonder they hate science. It goes against all their hateful rhetoric.
It's eating the apple of knowledge. That was the fall into sin or whatever.
Yes,
Adam
it's all a metaphor.
But it was all that was all Eve's fault too. The whole apple thing.
But Eve was made from Adam's rib, right? And then the snake convinced Eve to eat this apple and made everybody gay, and there's gay frogs now and all the other whatever kind of bullshit that they believe in that story.
They're just insane.
And do I think that there might be a higher power out there? Maybe. The universe is strange, all this shit. It can't be all this weird, random fucking...
I'm not saying there isn't.
On.
I'm an agnostic. I'm a person who admits I don't know. I don't know if there is a God or not, but I'm not going to waste all my time trying to figure that out either.
What I do know...
I've got a life to live.
...is if Jesus Christ was real, he'd be a liberal.
He would be. He would be. If Jesus Christ were real, he would be a communist. Honestly, if you look at his principles, he's into sharing everything. He gives free health care. He cures the sick. He feeds the poor.
And
he houses the homeless.
And he would not look like Jared Leto.
Communist.
He wouldn't look like Jared Leto.
He would not look like Jared Leto. He would look like oh my God, I'm trying. The guy from Slumdog Millionaire? Maybe? Perhaps?
Dark skin, long hair.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. I'm like, yeah, he would look nothing like Jared Leto.
The fact that there's so many gray areas to life and biology and reproduction, just like all of it, is the fact that like the main reason why I'm pro-choice, because there's not a clear-cut, it's not a clear-cut thing for people, making blanket legislations for there being so many different scenarios that a person could have through a pregnancy.
Right. Well, and if you're pro-life, you wouldn't be against immigrants.
Wouldn't Republicans, speaking of immigrants, wouldn't Republicans deport Jesus?
They would. Well,
they would want to.
You know what, though? A few years ago, that's a very good point, would be if Jesus had tried to come to America in early 2017, there would have been a ban that he could not get into the country.
Right.
Like, the fact that these abortion laws already in our state, there's already documented people that aren't able to get medication that they need. There was a girl, 14-year-old girl that was denied arthritis medication because it could potentially cause an abortion.
And her
a potential fertilized egg was of more importance than her dire
and she's just
medical
trying
condition.
To live.
Just trying to.
She's just trying to live at the age of 14.
Pain. Yeah, she had rheumatoid arthritis and osteoporosis. Right, if I'm pronouncing that right. And osteoporosis can kill you because it causes
brittle bones.
Brittle bones, yeah.
Yes.
And then there's
it's typically something that women who are much older have to deal with.
But there's always exceptions.
But I mean,
there's
she
always
can have a
these
rare
gray
genetic
areas.
thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Nothing ever is so cut and dry that you can make such strict laws.
And you know
it.
why that is? Because of science. Science sometimes fucks things up. you know?
Yeah, but science isn't a black and white thing. It's something that's constantly evolving.
Science, at least, will admit when they're wrong, whereas religion will fucking kill to prove that it's right.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And there's I
stole that quote.
The 10-year-old rape victim that was forced to carry to term a pregnancy. Like, I don't know how anyone can wrap their mind around thinking that it's okay to force a 10-year-old to carry a pregnancy that could potentially kill her because her body is not formed enough to, follow through with a pregnancy, let alone the trauma that they've already endured from what happened
from
to
the
them,
rape,
and then having to relive that through a whole 9 months.
When I heard that,
grow in your body, like.
When I heard that story, I was like, that was my immediate thought. I'm like, okay, if a 10-year-old got pregnant, what would a baby growing inside of a 10-year-old do to a 10-year-old? I'm like, there's no way their body could even sustain that. I'm like,
this is still,
they're not even developed.
Still the first, we still have one of the highest mortality rates out of all the developed countries for women that die during pregnancy. Like,
for being a rich nation, and we have
the greatest nation in the world, the richest nation in the world.
I'm sure it's because of our healthcare problem, but that's a different subject.
And back to Arizona, Blake Masters does not support abortion in any way, in any factor. That's why you have to vote for Mark Kelly for Senate in Arizona.
Mark Kelly supports women making their own choices about their own bodies.
What just happened with the where they lifted the injunction against the archaic law that was from 1864 that no abortions even for rape or incest, and doctors face between 2 to 5 years in prison. Like, they lifted that injunction right around the same time that the 15-week abortion ban went into effect here. And I think their reasoning for doing that is to create confusion so that people that, like, most people probably are in kind of a gray area in their terms of thinking when it comes to the abortion subject. Like, there's some people that think, like, oh, we shouldn't let abortions happen after such and such weeks or whatever. And I think that the fact that they did these two things to coincide with each other was purposely to create confusion so that people would be like, well, I heard it was just a 15-week and I'm okay with that. But really, it's like now it's up for debate that this other thing, and if we get the wrong people in office, like this Blake Masters person, then we probably are going to be referring mainly to this very strict one that doesn't even allow exceptions.
Can I just say something about their 6-week ban too? So at 6 weeks, a fetus is the size of a grain of rice.
Yeah,
so
it's stupid.
So, like, what do you think the size is at 15 weeks? That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
that have no idea that they're pregnant.
What are they talking about?
Like, even in my view, even a 15-week ban is fucking ridiculous.
Well, mine too. That's what I'm saying. Like, at 6 weeks, if it's the size of a grain of rice, so 9 weeks later, how big do you think it possibly got? Like maybe an inch? I mean, would that be an inch? I don't know, maybe. I'm like, it's ridiculous that they're not even paying attention to the science.
Completely uneducated about biology and even their own biology. Like, there's a lot of women that don't even know about their own bodies. and
There's a lot of people who don't know
pregnancy,
how women
anything.
get pregnant. I mean, I'm convinced of this now. After listening to these recordings of morons, that it's like, do you know how sex works? It's like,
Well,
and I, for one, as a woman, I don't want to be having sex with someone that doesn't know how to.
Just the,
I would say, though, if I was a Republican, though, and I was a Republican strategist, the timing of trying to overturn Roe versus Wade was incredibly stupid.
They did it to themselves.
A few months.
They did
before
it
the
to
midterms.
themselves.
And hey,
Let 'em.
good for them. Good for them.
Let 'em.
I'm glad they did it because hopefully, and from what I've been seeing in the polls, it looks like the Senate not only hopefully will retain the Senate, but we are going to add seats to the Senate. Now the House, I'm not so sure. I really haven't seen the polling on the House.
They said that everything I've heard was that the Democrats will probably lose control of the House, but I don't. There must be a lot of key seats up for battle then, because aren't the Democrats way ahead of the Republicans when it comes to the House?
I think we're up
Like,
by,
overwhelmingly?
I think it was 19 seats or something like that.
Oh, that's it. Okay. I always thought we were way ahead in the House. I mean, not always, but as of late, as of 2018, I thought we really gained some traction, but
the other thing that
I don't know.
the thing that I find like very hypocritical about this them, you know, allowing this old law from 1864, which that is well before Arizona was a state, which means it was well before Arizona had a state constitution. And so I think it's really ironic that the Senate overturned Roe on the grounds that it wasn't traditionally in the U.S. Constitution, and yet,
the Supreme Court.
Yeah, or the
Senate,
Supreme
yeah,
Court.
the
That's
Senate
what I
did
mean.
it. Yeah.
The Supreme Court or whatever, that they overturned Roe versus Wade on the grounds of it not being in the U.S. Constitution, and yet our state here, you know, decided that it was somehow within our state constitution to refer back to
When we
a
weren't even
law
a
that
state.
wasn't even a state.
We were a
and
territory.
We did not even have a state constitution. Like,
And
what-
women could not
like,
even vote
can you
yet.
even can you see the
The hypocrisy.
yeah, like the hypocrisy in that. That's
I know.
I don't know. I haven't really seen a lot of other people bring that
Republicans
conclusion
seem to
up.
have a shield for hypocrisy. It just like bounces the fuck off of them. They're just like, pew, pew. They just like hold up their shield. They're like, oh, this is our justification why we're allowed to be giant hypocrites. You know.
That's one of the things I want to inform about at these rallies, because like I said, I think there's a lot of confusion around what's going on in our state, and I feel like if people were maybe more clarified on what's at stake, that maybe it would promote them to want to vote and vote, you know, like vote with that in mind. So I think just spreading the information on it is important, and that I've been like wanting to clarify to everyone that these gatherings I'm having, I guess there's a difference between protests and rallies. I just realized, and I wanted to clarify that these things I'm having are rallies because I want them to be more of a positive, informative thing, and to try to also like get people to know about our group, like. So
protests are positive too. They're just when it turns into rioting, then it's not positive.
I just don't want like a lot of real combative type of language around it. Like, I know all of us are upset, you know, but it's like I want it to be kind of more informative. Like, it can convey a strong sense of urgency, but without being hostile, is what, like, I'm trying to tread that fine line, I guess, because it's like I want to be inviting for people that might be interested in learning more about our group and wanting, you know, to participate and in the future, but without being like real in your face, hateful. I don't know.
No, I get it.
Like, there's a fine line to it, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, the numbers as
It's
of
a
right
lot
now,
of nuance.
in the House, it's 224 Democrats against 213 Republicans. So it's already kind of close.
Yeah, it is close. I didn't realize it was that close.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that balance could shift, which means the Senate is more important because Bill would have to. Remember back in Schoolhouse Rock, Bill's Capitol Hill.
Just a bill.
Yeah, so Bill would have to pass the House, but then it has to go to the Senate to get approved. Yeah. So if you lose,
they're actually saying that the Democrats have a good chance at winning the Senate, though, this time.
Yep.
So
good. Get to 60. Get to 60, because you know what?
I don't know if they can.
That probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah, because that's like 10 seats.
But could you imagine? Could you imagine if we did get to 60, then we could pack the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Turn things the other direction. And
I know. I mean, hey, I wish we could get to 60. Believe me, but
if we hold the House though and get the Senate, we could codify Roe versus Wade.
We could do
which
that.
Would make it the law of the land.
And we could also get more legislation passed that helped more Americans, aside from just the bills that have already been passed. We wouldn't have to worry about battling. Cinema and Mansion would become obsolete. We wouldn't have to worry about those two starting their shit.
Our voting rights would be protected.
Voting rights would be protected. They could get way more bills passed that actually helped average Americans, not political donors. You know?
Yeah.
They could possibly overturn Citizens United. That would be the best thing ever if they could get rid of that. If there would be a way that we would have a chance to get rid of that, because nobody likes money in politics. There's a lot of Republicans who don't like all the money in politics.
Is that on the ballot this year? Something to do with that?
Citizens United?
Or transparency and lobbyist money or something?
I don't know.
Maybe not. I'm
not sure. It should be.
I haven't read my election guide.
It should be. I know. I haven't cracked the book either. It's like this.
I haven't either, but I saw like a sign. I feel like I saw a sign on the side of the road about it, and I was all excited.
Well, there usually is every year. They talk about transparency in elections, but Citizens United is the bill that was passed by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, I think it was in 2010, they said that money is free speech. That's the argument. So what they're saying is it's okay to buy politicians because money is basically free speech. So these corporations are allowed to dump money into politicians to get them to do what they want.
I feel like
that is what has ruined our country.
That's like it could be like the biggest nonpartisan, like, surely
issue?
Most people could agree that that's bad. But
you would think. And it's these corporations that dump money into advertising on Fox News.
But the Supreme Court ruled that corporations are people and that money is just free speech, so they can buy politicians. They did that under, I think it was under Antonin Scalia when he was still alive. That's why he's a hero to the right.
Okay,
he will always be a hero. He's dead now, but We'll always be a hero.
So, Kat, do you have anything else to add? Because you have a ton of notes. And
I know.
we just ramble on.
If you want to go over any more.
Anything else you want to add to this conversation?
One other event that we decided that we were going to have with our group that was actually Jem's idea. Like, shout out to her again. But, so we're going to do a Jane's watch party at the library. And Jane's is a documentary about, it's what a group of female activists called themselves, during the pre-Roe era, and they were an underground network for women with unwanted pregnancies, and they provided low cost and free abortions to an estimated 11,000 women. But so this is like a documentary about them, and we're gonna have it open to the public at the library Wednesday, October 26th from 3:30 to 6 at night.
Cool.
I think that would be like a good thing to promote, to get, people together and get everyone kind of like a thought process happening. Because I feel like I kind of want to, after this election, to refocus the group on like helping get people in our state to be able to access the medical care they need in like friendlier states, and look into how to do that, like advocacy, maybe transporting people or getting them hooked up with the right other people to get the information, or
So basically, you're saying, like, no matter what the results of the midterms are, the fight will continue.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to focus.
The fight will always continue.
But what's scary is that
they brought it on.
This is like right now they say it's just on a state level, but what is it? I think that Lindsey Graham person has already said that he wants to make a federal abortion ban. So, like, for now, it's just deferred back to the states, but like the bigger picture is that this is not where it's going to end. And
when they're the same people fighting, who are always like states' rights,
even if we win at our states' rights, like even if
more
our
hypocrisy.
state, whatever, like the bigger picture is they're going to try to make this federally a thing. So
right, they can't leave it at just states' rights like they try to do with everything else. Like, we want states' rights,
and that's just their excuse too to try to downplay the urgency of overturning Roe versus Wade. They try to basically gaslight the rest of us who are legitimately concerned about it by saying, oh, it just sends it back to the states. And it's like, you realize,
Lindsey Graham, if you're listening, I hate you.
You realize that actually puts more government interference to the individual. It doesn't like lessen, the government interference. It heightens it. Which you'd think is supposed to be something that Republicans are against, like, too much government control over the individual. Mm-hmm. So putting it back to the states does the opposite of what they're claiming that it is. It's literally just gaslighting. And
well, it's like she said, it's just all about winning. That's all it is. It's about winning and getting your way. It doesn't matter what.
It's about owning the libs. We want to own the libs. That's what it's about.
Yeah. And like
people, because of that, they'll vote against their own interests because they're too invested in their own ego.
Well, and that goes back to what the point I was trying to make earlier about being pro-life. If you're pro-life, you wouldn't be anti-immigrant. You wouldn't be anti-welfare.
You wouldn't be pro-death penalty.
You wouldn't be pro-death penalty.
It's like Texas actually contemplated, like, they actually had a debate on whether or not they should have a law for the death penalty for women that seek out abortions. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
the irony. You're so pro-life that you're willing to kill people over it.
They like to kill people in Texas.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's one thing they love is killing people.
No, we touched on this on the last podcast. Pro-life would be you would support mental health care for students in schools.
Mm-hmm.
Pro-life wouldn't be, you wouldn't think the gun is more important than kids in schools. If you were really pro-life
would be, if you're going to force births, then you would allow for programs to help mothers take care of all these children that you are forcing them to have.
You would support foster care.
Mm-hmm.
You would support education.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you were really pro-life, you would support all of these things. But no.
They're pro-fake.
Pro-life only means...
They're pro-being fake.
You're pro-life until the child is born.
That's why I don't like to call them pro-life, because they don't deserve to have that term. Like, that's why I just started calling them forced birthers or anti-choice.
I call them forced birthers.
And with the majority of the country, I think it was 80% of the country supports a woman's right to choose. The only reason why they support this is, from what Snow said, is it's owning the libs.
I read a thing that said that, like, the unborn are an easy, idea to pander to virtue signal, because the unborn exists as sort of like an idea of, but once they're born, it's like a whole other story. So it's just kind of like something that they use to they don't have to actually do anything to help, to do any like real help. They can just virtue signal and be like, we're trying to save babies. And that's another thing. They call any fertilized egg, they call a baby
A miracle.
So it's just like some more propaganda to
and
change people's perspectives so that they're like more emotionally biased.
And I think
words matter. Like using words and terminology correctly matters because of that.
And some of them track women. They want, like Mike Pence, who was BP. They had a period tracker thing in Indiana when he was governor. Like, they tracked women's periods, and they were even wanting to punish women for having miscarriages. It's like, they can't even control that.
That's a whole other thing that's a whole other thing opened up by this issue, is that there's going to be people that, on top of being, devastated by having a miscarriage over what was a wanted pregnancy, they also have to worry about being viewed as potential criminals. Like they're gonna be under potential legal investigation.
It's just crazy. They're crazy. I just look at them like they're lunatics.
It's like the human body, performs self-abortions, or is that the term? I think that's like the term, like natural abortions or whatever, all the time. That's what miscarriages are.
Clearly because something was wrong. I mean, or else it wouldn't have wouldn't have happened. But they can't think of it that way. They're
or
like,
even the fact that,
oh, you're a murderer. Your body's a murderer, and you're the one that's your body. It's
another gray area that women have, where they're like, sometimes a miscarriage isn't all the way, like, your body doesn't expel all of it on its own, in a timely manner, I guess, and sometimes it starts turning septic because, rotting flesh inside your body, like, TMI, And then
yeah.
sometimes the doctors have to go in and actually get the rest of that out.
Or it will kill the woman.
Yeah. And now a lot of women are being forced to wait until they're deemed to be life-threatening before that will be how it will be in our state if this, like, because of this law, this 1984 or 1864 law, because now there's no exception unless the person's life is in danger. So now, women that have miscarriage or even like where the fetus is dead in them or whatever, like they have to wait until it's potentially going to kill them before anything's allowed to be done. Like till they're have a crazy fever and having sweats and going into shock. They're on the verge of death before they can get treatment for that, and a lot of women are gonna die because of it.
Yeah, and they don't care.
And it sickens me that these forced birthers just see all of these people that exist in the gray area as collateral damage. Like they're like, oh well, that's not the majority of people, but I bet they'd think differently if it was them or someone close to them.
No, that would be it.
No, I guess they're just collateral damage.
The hypocrisy would be if it happened to them, they would think differently. And I think like the whole agenda behind what's behind this is, conspiracy. We started with a conspiracy theory, we'll end with one. Is that they want a bigger voter population, and if you keep people, increase the population of a certain, let's say white people, increase the white population on
it'll be disproportionately affecting black people, just saying.
Well, correct, but you keep people undereducated.
Low.
Okay, you increase the population, keep them undereducated, and you install this fear into your voter base, because the Republican Party is slowly dying off. Conservatives are slowly dying off. Kids are more progressive these days. I think it's kind of
they're losing their relevancy. That's what it boils down to. They're becoming irrelevant, and they are having a hard time dealing with it. So they're going out kicking and screaming, and this is like their last ditch effort.
I think they're forcing people, like births, so that there'll be more people having to pay into like Social Security or pay into the economy, because it's like been said before that we're not at replacement level or whatever for the population to sustain the population that's growing older. So I think this is their remedy, is to force people to be born so that they can feed into the system and keep it going, and also for control.
It's like, and that's
people are easier to control if
if that's their agenda. That's not a good one. Look at the planet. The planet's sick. Like she's got like a thermometer in her mouth. Like she doesn't feel good.
They only care about our country and fueling capitalism.
I know, but if they care about our country, take a look at Florida.
Yeah.
I
mean, and the economy in the country. I shouldn't say the country as a whole, but just propagating the economy and capitalism.
And to that
is what
point,
they care about.
we were also talking about God, higher powers, and shit like that. I believe the Earth is like a living being. The Earth itself is like a living being, and we're kind of like ticks on a dog.
We're like cancer.
We're like a cancer.
We're parasites.
And shit happens like Hurricane Ian, that these storms keep on getting bigger and bigger.
She's like, I gotta shake
because
these
Mother Nature
is
trying to take us out.
Ticks.
Yeah,
that was COVID. It's all this fucking shit. COVID, whatever was created in the lab in fucking China, whatever. whatever. This shit is happening to control the population because we are getting too much, and the earth is going to be here no matter what.
I had a client tell me that, and it was this old lady that I totally wouldn't expect to have that perspective, and I'm just like, all right, hell yeah, I appreciate your nihilism. I'm pretty much on the same. I was like, high five. No.
Right?
Old lady, you're awesome. You get it.
It's true. No.
So I guess on that, we'll back end with vote here in Arizona. Mark Kelly.
Vote.
Katie Hobbs.
November 8th.
Jevin Hodge. And who else? November 8th, yes, vote. Who else are we voting for around here?
Chris Mays. Did you say Chris Mays? I wasn't paying attention.
Chris Mays, Katie Hodge, Mark Kelly.
Jevin Hodge.
Nobody
around here.
Right. Nobody in Mojave County.
Come check out our rally at this Saturday. And then when you're done, you can go to Oktoberfest and have a beer because you're going to need it.
Right?
I'm going to need it when this is done.
That's a good promotion for Oktoberfest, too.
After you deal with this.
We should do this podcast on election night.
Oh, shit.
Since we'll do this setup here.
We will.
And we'll watch results come in and do the podcast and we'll be drinking during it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Let's do it.
That way it goes either way, good or bad.
Right?
One of our best drinking episodes was the one where they finally announced Biden won. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
All right. So on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, Kat. Thanks for all you're doing, and you really came out of your shell and.
I'm still trying. It's still a work in progress.
Are so proud of you.
I know
how you have taken the ball and run with this issue.
I am so proud that one person asked you out how they go about voting too. That is so cool. That is so unbelievably cool. Good job.
Couldn't do it without lots of support because honestly, all this stuff scares me shitless. But the people that come up to me and thank me for it really
hell yeah, keep up the good fight.
So,
and
thanks everybody.
While I'm going to try to make an appearance at these rallies, I think Snow will too. It's no offense that we do have other obligations and stuff like that during the weekends.
I figured everyone does. That's why we're doing 4 of them to try to
I can definitely go to the Sunday ones. So.
Yeah. So we will make an appearance, to show our support because it's the least we could do. But know that even if we're not there, you have our total support always. And keep on shooting me messages during the week, and during these next few episodes, we will constantly remind people of this issue because get out and vote on November 8th.
Vote.
And when is our early ballots coming in?
They should be coming out any day, but I've been checking my mail every day enthusiastically.
I fill that shit out immediately.
I know.
Snow and I take pictures of our ballots and send them to each other. Look what I got. Yes.
Nerds.
No. I know. The only time I didn't fill it out super enthusiastically, but I finally went along with it was when I had to vote for Hillary over Bernie. And I'm like, because I wasn't going to be a diehard Berner because Bernie told me not to, and that was a little rough. But I still did it, and so did you. But we were a little sad that we didn't get to vote for Bernie.
And if more of them had done it, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in.
I know. They don't listen.
Yeah. It's like Democrats vote with their heart or whatever, or vote like a love story, and Republicans vote like a chess move. It's like, stop, guys.
Yeah. You gotta vote no matter who.
And for the listeners who are not in Arizona, in Georgia, who do you vote for?
Raphael Warnock.
Yes, because Hershel Walker funds abortions.
And he's stupid. He even said it himself.
Right. Okay. All right, on that note, we'll wrap this up and we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.